Welcome, everybody, to the Follow D Money podcast. Today, I am here with a friend of mine that I really have asked this woman to be on my podcast for about 2 years now. And I don't know what made me okay enough to be on that. I don't know what happened, but she said to me that she would be on it, and she's about to leave us in Indiana and move to New York. And I said that I would love to have her on before she leaves, and I'm so glad that she's here. Sara Huntington, thank you for coming to the Follow D Money podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I was like, this is my last opportunity to do it. And, like, that's everything, though. You're like, oh, yeah, we'll catch up. We'll get together sometime. And then this past, month, it's like everything that I have said that I'm going to do, I have to do it. So.
Yeah. And I'm really appreciative of your time, and I'm appreciative that you are sitting with me, and I'm gonna get through a bunch of stuff with you. But I'm really proud of you and happy for you, and looking forward to whatever you have in store. I will say this: I've seen you do comedy. How long have you been doing comedy?
5 years since my first open mic.
Wow.
So
I think I first saw you maybe 3 years ago. I think that was.
Is it at Helium?
I saw you at Helium. I thought it was. I thought it was at Saint Shack.
Oh no, I do remember. It was Hannah Roshline's show.
You were. That wasn't the first time I saw you though. Okay, but that was early though.
Yeah, that's probably right when I started getting decent though. Okay. When people started recognizing or remembering
Helium is the first time I saw you though.
Yeah. Was it Indy's Funniest thing?
I think it was. Yeah. And so from that time to the last time I saw you perform was at Harder Brunch's adult summer camp.
Oh yeah.
And I will tell you this, the progression that you have went through is really dope. You, to me, that night at the Harder Brunch adult summer camp, you killed it.
Thank you.
You really did, and I was just like, damn. I was like, she's really damn good.
I think that's what's hard about staying in indie this whole time is people really have seen. They maybe saw me at the very beginning, and then they don't come for 3 years, and they're like, oh, she was okay, and you don't get that recognition because you've just been. They still remember you from the very beginning. And it's like any other job. Obviously, I've gotten better.
Yeah.
And, I didn't realize that I had gotten better until, I listened to some of my old sets. And I'm like, I can't believe I was making my friends come to that. But
what kind of work did you do to improve, do you think?
It's just getting on stage. It's repetition.
Okay.
Over and over and over again.
Yep.
And, do every mic, get in front of as many people, as many types of people that you can. I'll never turn down. I mean, even still today, I go to open mics and stuff still for crowds of 5 people.
Right.
Because if I can make 5 people laugh, then I'm like, okay, that's a good joke.
Yep. That is very true.
Just kind of go. It's just repetition.
You treat every crowd the same?
I try to, but I can tell my energy gets different depending on who I'm around.
Yep.
Club shows, I tend to have a lot more energy. Where an alt show. Which is a lot of hipsters and stuff are at, then I'll kind of, I don't know, be a little bit more calm. So, But I try and stay and keep my voice and who I am pretty consecutively just
the same.
Yeah.
You want who you are to shine the same no matter where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to sets, when you have these different audiences, your set is the same and the energy is different, or you change the set according to the audience?
It kind of depends. If I get 5 minutes in, I did a show not that long ago, and it was in Indianapolis, and I just read the crowd wrong.
Yeah.
So I start telling all these jokes about being white trash, and they're just looking at me and I'm like, oh, okay, these people are all from Carmel and stuff. So I immediately after second joke, I switched up what I was talking about. I started talking about cocaine, and they were like, woo! It's just you just have to kind of read the room as you're going.
They couldn't relate.
Yeah.
Until you brought it in.
Yeah. So you have to kind of just see. You normally know first 5 minutes. Okay, this crowd kind of goes this way, and then you just change accordingly.
Yep.
And that just comes with time too, because at first you only have 5 minutes. So it's no matter what, I'm going to tell 5 minutes to this crowd,
Yep.
and they're either going to like me or not. And now I have 40 minutes that I can kind of flow around with and figure out what they like and
Dang, and you got a
mess
lot
around.
of you got a lot of material too. Because one thing that I really appreciate is you say different shit every time I see you. You know, some people, they are consistent with their set and they just want to make sure that it works, you know, but I do like that when I see you, there's something different. Like you add something, so it's like I can get a new laugh, even though if I see some old stuff that you do and it's funny, it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's always going to be funny every time, but I do appreciate the new material like almost every time I've seen you.
I get bored.
Yeah,
like I get bored
right.
with my own set.
Yeah.
And like normally if it's like a show in indie, I'm going to say a lot more new stuff than if I'm like featuring for somebody that's bigger or I'm headlining, then I'm going to stick with like my jokes that I know work because obviously the club is paying me like good money to make people laugh.
Right.
But like I love being able to just like play around with the crowd and like kind of figure out what they like and keep learning new jokes and new ways to tell it, like switching up the order it goes in. That way because I'll get bored. Sometimes like if I'm telling a set that I've told over and over again, like I'll forget that I'm even talking. I'm just like, and then it's not as fun for you anymore because you're not listening or like feeling the interaction of the crowd. You're just like robotic up there.
So you can tell a joke on cruise control.
Yeah. Dang. I probably have like 15 minutes of material. I could tell, like, not look at a note, not even notice what the crowd reacts to. I just know like, oh, it gets a laugh there, it gets a laugh there.
Right.
And then you just kind of get on auto
that's
cruise.
crazy.
And I don't like that. That's not fun to me.
I think that I've said this when Dyke was on my podcast. I said that I think that comedians are the bravest people in America. and Dyke looked at me like
that, Army dudes?
Dyke looked at me like, the bravest? And I was like, but the thing is, you guys put yourself out there and you are so vulnerable because you're trying to make people laugh and it's at your expense no matter what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you have to deliver something that is resonating with people you don't even know.
Yeah.
And that's brave as fuck.
I don't know if it's brave or psychotic. But,
both. It's a little of both.
I think it's a little bit more psychotic than brave.
Yeah.
But there has to be just like a little, like you have to be sane enough to be like a somewhat intelligent person and like crazy enough to think that like people want to hear you say these crazy thoughts.
Yes.
Like there's this weird line you have to be in between.
Yeah, but how many do you go to therapy?
I did for like a couple months one time. I kept lying to her, so I had to quit.
Well, I mean,
I was like trying to impress her. Yeah,
it became a test for you, like a game.
Like I was like, "This is pretty cool, huh?" Like I was just like bragging to her. She was like, "Okay."
She was like, "You don't come back." I know that what you're talking about is lies. You're lying to me right now.
Well, sometimes she'd be like, "Oh, like let's be realistic about this," and I'm like, "I literally have 90,000 fans, dude," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm lying to this therapist right now."
When did you know that you were funny? Like at some point, because you were a hairstylist, right? By trade?
No, I went to cosmetology school during the pandemic.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I had like this little meltdown.
So you don't consider yourself a hairstylist?
No, I like literally went to school and I did hair for like 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to college for like advertising and communications.
Yep.
And I did a lot of like public speaking and stuff like that.
Which helps.
Yep. So I like knew when I was doing that, I was like, okay, I like talking. I like public speaking.
Yep.
I like writing. Like I was a really good writer.
Okay.
So I wanted to be a copywriter, which is just like billboards, advertisements, stuff like that.
Yep.
Writing for that.
Yep.
And then I think it was other people that told me I was funny.
Okay.
I think I just say things out loud and I don't even realize they're funny. And then somebody will be like, "Oh, that's funny." I'm like, all right, let me write that down. Now I'm like, let me write it down. But before I was just like, didn't even realize what I was saying was funny until somebody else told me.
Dang. But so I think that what's funny about you is like everything because you do like things on social media that are funny. It's not just like stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're funny. You're a creative funny. Like you don't just need to tell jokes. You can do funny scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's funny. And where was that creative side of you come from?
I have no idea. I know I started doing the videos online just because I've started to get bored with stand-up. And being in Indiana, there's not a ton of opportunities.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not ready to move, but I'm also not happy with where I'm at.
Yep.
In the career that I want to go towards. So I started doing videos, and it was really just like trial and error. Like when I started doing like the characters, like I did this hairstylist receptionist one, and that was the first one I had that just blew up. And I was like, okay, so I can do characters.
Yep.
And that just, I've been able to do that since I was a kid. Like if I am around someone for more than like a couple hours, I can just start acting like them. So I don't know where that came from, but I've been able to do that since I was a kid. So that's when I started doing the characters.
Yep.
And then when I do any of like the sketches where it's like, I don't know if drinks were people or whatever.
That's
like
my
I
favorite.
just like
those are my favorite.
I just think of like a person. Like it's literally like I might think like, oh, Stretch would be Liquid Death. And then I would think of how you are, and then I would just turn you into a drink.
Right.
Like it's normally an actual person that I have in my head when I do a character.
Yeah, you've seen them drink that, and then you're just like, this is how they are.
Yeah.
So it's easier for you to just be that person with the drink and call it the drink. Yeah, that's dope.
And then like, you know, you meet like 3 or 4 people that do the same thing, and they all remind you, and you categorize them into like, okay, that's Miller Lite.
Right.
Okay, that's Svedka or whatever.
Yep,
and you just like categorize them around, and eventually you come up with a character.
Dang, that's cool. Who gave you your first like break? Not open mic, but who gave you your first spot?
Jokers. It was Comedy Club above Taps and Dolls.
Yep.
Ike gave me a guest spot. I opened up for BT, who's also a great comic in Indianapolis.
All right.
And I remember like I had only been doing comedy like 3 months, so nobody knew who I was.
Yep.
And I probably got that spot way too early. But Ike was like, oh, you have something. He's like, you don't have the jokes yet, but like you have the confidence and like the ability to like be really good. So like let's start getting you some more stage time.
Yep.
And so he let me do a guest spot for 5 minutes. Like I had like 50 people there for like 5-minute guest spot because it was the first time like that I had ever done anything. And I think some people came to watch me do well, and I think some people came to watch me fail, you know, and you're going to have that. Like some people I think just wanted to come to see like, why is she doing this? Like,
right.
And it probably wasn't the best, but yeah, he gave me that spot, and now BT and I are still really good friends. But he didn't know who I was, so he like tried to hit on me when I first like got there. And I was like, oh, I'm actually like your opener. And he's like, oh, I can't hit on you. Okay, I'm sorry. And we've like stayed friends since then. But he's always like, you didn't think I was creepy that first day, did you? I'm like,
yeah.
The first day. Now I don't think you are, but the first day, yeah.
Right.
So Ike gave me that, and that was great. And then Helium has just been there for me pretty consecutively, which is nice. Avery, the club owner there, just started. He's gave me my first feature set.
Wow.
And then I think when Hannah Berner took me on the road was like my first like, okay, I have like some traction. I'm like opening up for famous people at this point. And then that one was like big for me.
Yeah. Does that help your confidence when you can, like, even if you're not ready, do you think that when you're thrust into a situation where you have somebody so big going after you that you're just like, I belong here because I'm here?
Yeah. You'll definitely have like some imposter syndrome where I'll see somebody and they're really funny, and then they haven't gotten the same opportunities as me. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. Like, why am I doing this? But I mean, like, there's a lot that goes into it. It is like luck, hard work, and just right time, right place, and then just talent as well. But if you put all 4 of those things together, it's unlikely that you're not going to be successful.
Right. If all that lines up, that's a recipe for success, really.
Like, you obviously have to start with talent, but then if you just put like luck and hard work into it, like it's very unlikely you're gonna fail. Like
those 2 things really help stuff.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis, who do you think? Not yourself. Like who do you come or who do you go out to see when you're in Indianapolis on the comedy scene?
Comedy wise,
like who's just out there killing it?
Gwen Sunkel, she just put out her album, and it is great. I know I already mentioned BT, but he also has an album out.
Okay.
He's great. Tyson Cox put an album out. Really talented. And then, you know, I love Thad and Dyke as well. They're great.
They're my boys.
That's everybody that's on I'm doing a roast show as my going away show.
going.
So that's everybody that's on the roast. And I put everybody on there that's on there because they were all the people that like were truly kind to me from the very beginning.
Right.
Because when you're first coming into comedy, it's like you don't always have, like, it's not clicky in Indianapolis because we don't have a big enough scene to be clicky, but it's just like trying to figure out like
so it's
who
not,
you're going to hang out.
Clicky.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, I don't notice it. I know like there's probably some people that really stray one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll do any mic. Like if you tell me you want me on your open mic, I'll come to it. Don't worry.
Yep.
So I don't feel like it's clicky.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always gotten along with everybody. But then like those people were the ones that like were like, oh, let me help you. This is shows that you can get on. Here's a list of open mics. Because when you're first starting out, nobody tells you, like, before I started doing comedy, I just thought you went to a comedy club and you just hoped they called you on stage. Like, I didn't realize there was this whole process to start doing it. And you have to start at the very bottom where you're like going into a bar on the east side telling 3 minutes worth of jokes. Damn. Like, and then, I just thought like you eventually just like became Kevin Hart. Like, I was like, oh, you just like, la la la, Kevin Hart. Like,
that is how it happens. It's not. That was hard work and luck.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're doing comedy, or when you came up, when you were young, because you said you never saw this, but people told you were funny. Mm-hmm. Are you like a comedy historian? Do you like comics? Like, do you go back and look at old comedy, like Eddie Murphy or Gilda Radner, stuff like that? Do you know old comedy, or are you more of a
sort of? Yeah. But my dad listened to like comedy that I didn't really like. I liked it, but it didn't really relate to me.
Right.
Like my dad loved like Jeff Foxworthy, Ron White, Larry the Cable Guy. Like that's who he loved to listen to.
Yep.
Which like looking at some of my jokes, I probably do take a little bit of that because like I think about like my family and their upbringing, and obviously like if my dad loved those comics, like that's who he is as a person.
Yeah.
And so I remember listening to them and I liked them, but I didn't really relate to them until there was a comic, Elijah Schlesinger, that I listened to, and I was like, for the first time, felt like related to a comic. Like I was like, oh, I understand her jokes. These are relatable to me. And I think that's what I think of when I'm telling jokes. Like sometimes I'll get hate on the internet, and it's like always some like, sorry, white guy that's like, not funny. I don't get it. Hate her. And I'm like, well, maybe this wasn't for like, I want to make sure that like I can tell jokes that are relatable to somebody.
Right.
And if it can help like 100 people and it's relatable to them, then I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
like it's not, I'm not going to make a joke that's always going to be relatable to everybody. Yep. Like, so.
Yep. I think that most comics, and even successful comics, they kind of cater to a certain group.
You have to.
Because to me, the most funny shit is the relatable shit.
Right.
And we don't relate to everybody.
Right.
So it's like, fuck you if you don't get it.
Yeah. Like at the very beginning, you're trying to tell jokes just to like get people to like you. But then once you reach like a certain point, it's like, no, I'm trying to get fans.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to get a loyal fan base. And with that, there's always like people that also really hate you. Like every comic has.
Right. Well, that's everything.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, somebody's not going to like it.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. And how do you, so a comic, a good comic, when we're talking about their relatable shit, a good comic cannot be relatable but still be funny in a crowd that doesn't belong, that they don't belong. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can deliver some shit to a crowd that doesn't get it, but they're funny because it's funny because you're funny.
Right.
Do you think you're getting there, or you are there?
I think that I'm pretty good with most crowds, to be honest.
I think you're a universal happy.
Pretty easily digestible person. But I do know comics that I think are hilarious that not everyone always, like, I've seen them bomb.
Right.
And I'm like, it just wasn't their crowd, and like, they didn't get it. And I hate that because I don't think that I like have as loyal fan base as them because like they are so relatable to those certain people.
Yep.
Whereas like I just want everyone to like me. So,
so I would say as a fan of your comedy, I think that your comedy is relatable to everyone.
Yeah.
Because you kind of talk about yourself.
Right.
So it's like you're explaining what's hilarious about your life.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if we've done it. You're telling us what's funny about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a real universal way to be funny, and that's dope.
That's my main thing is like vulnerability.
Yeah.
Where like I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm not going to try and change the world up there. Like that's not ever going to be my style. I'm just going to tell you about all the mistakes that I've made and like lessons I've learned and hopefully make them funny and a little bit relatable. That's my main thing.
Right.
That I want to do.
So when you're as a comic, do you find that the dating world is like just super easy and fun?
Yeah, so easy.
Do you have them like beating down your door? Like what's going on?
No. Like guy comics do comedy and they like get laid afterwards. Like girl comics, like it's like always the girls that like my comedy. So it's like unless they're gay, they're not like coming up to me like trying to like date me afterwards. And like no, the guys are normally like, nice set. Like, and I would never date a comic, so that cancels out.
I was gonna ask that. Like, do you like funny dudes? Like, you don't like?
I just don't want that kind of competition. Like, not even like in like I'm scared that I would be upset with them. Like, I don't want them to get upset with. I don't want that in my relationship.
Okay.
I want them to. I want them to be like an accountant or something. Like, I want them to be so damn boring. Like, I want them to be so boring and like they just like go to their 9 to 5 and then they like go home and they're like, oh, I had such a rough day at the office. Like, Jerry accidentally ate my lunch. Like that. I want like someone so normal because like my life is so unnormal that balance and like seeing them like kind of live this like 9 to 5 life like makes me feel.
But how does that work? You have to find somebody that is okay with some weird ass hours being gone, crazy people attacking you on the internet, you testing shit out and being crazy. So it'll be hard to find a straight-laced dude with a 9 to 5 to fall for that.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you think?
It is. It's very hard.
You can want it though.
That's why I've been single for 2 years. Like, no, it was like it wasn't as hard in the beginning because I think it was just like I had normal stuff going on in my life for the most part, and then every once in a while I went to like open mics. But now like I am traveling and like doing a lot of stuff all the time, and like for me, I'm like, oh, I want that like kind of like 9 to 5 guy, but I don't know if like if I would be so good for them or if I would just eventually drive them crazy,
Do you think that it would be easier for you now to be in a relationship because it's something that you don't worry about, or it'll be easier to not be in a relationship because you're so focused on your craft and your career?
Ooh, okay, so it's easier for me because I used to base most of my worth off of who loved me. And so whenever I was like with somebody, I'm like, well, they love me, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And now I don't really have that anymore. So I'm a better girlfriend. I really am, because I don't have that like anxiety or like, I'll never go through your phone. I really don't care.
Right.
Like, I don't care. I care about you, but I don't care what you're doing. Or like, if you want to go out with the boys, go out with the boys. Like, I have so much going on that like, I feel like I'm a better girlfriend now, but I don't care as much, which can kind of go both ways.
Yeah.
I'm more chill, but also like, I don't know. I think some guys like when you're kind of crazy. I'm like, I'll go like 2 days without texting you, and they're like, what the fuck?
So, do you want to be in a relationship, or you do not want to be in a relationship?
I mean, like, obviously, I'm in the process of moving. I am like, it's just not a good time for me.
Okay.
I want some sort of normalcy in my life at some point.
Right. But I mean, because as a guy, like, I think that a guy would say, I'd rather just date and do my thing and be on the road and not be settled down. But I think that in my vision, I see women like, I'd rather just have a dude be there when I come home, or be around. Like, the mentality is usually different in men and women. Yeah. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah. No, my thing is I have so much inconsistency in my work life right now.
Yeah.
That like having consistency in a relationship is actually nice, and it's like balancing.
Right.
But right now it's like literally my life is changing.
It's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you're moved to New York. Is there a reason why you moved to New York? Or is there something like you just outgrew Indiana?
Yeah, I outgrew Indiana a little bit, and then also there's better clubs there.
Yeah.
And I got passed at the stand there,
Yep.
so that's
That's a
nice.
great club.
Yeah.
Yep.
So working, just getting more time on
Mm-hmm.
stage and like really working. Like I want to be on stage every single night for the first like few months.
Yep.
And like I said, like repetition is the most important thing at first. Which
You'll get but like once you get so comfortable, then that's when it's just all the creative energy just starts flowing.
yeah. And I want to be around like the best comics. Like I
Yep.
want to be that person at the bottom.
Yep.
Like I want to like look at them and be like, damn, my jokes kind of suck. I want to be nervous to go on stage again and
Yep.
like be worried that I'm going to be the worst comic there or bomb. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm ready to be at the bottom again.
Right.
So,
what has been the hardest part about doing comedy for you?
telling people, it's always just like it's everyone always has so many questions.
Like what? Like what questions?
Yeah, like at this point, like it is like my like main job. So like like your Uber driver and stuff like that. Like it's that kind of stuff where it's just like, you know, or like if you start dating someone new, it's like, oh, what do you do? And then like everyone always has so many questions, and then they're like, we'll have to come to a show, and I'm like, please don't, like, please don't. And like I want fans, but I don't want it to be my friends' parents that are coming to my show because they're like, that's pretty cool. Like, I used to love like Steve Harvey or whatever. Like, I don't want like that type of fan base. So literally telling people is probably the hardest part about it.
Like just saying that you're a comic.
Yeah.
And the reaction that you get.
Yeah. And the questions. And then, oh, are you funny? Are you dirty? You know, like
I've never asked that. Are you dirty?
Yeah, I don't mind telling you, but it's like strangers on a plane or something because you're always traveling, and then like you'll have like some dude on a plane that's like, well, I normally don't like female comedies because they're always talking dirty. I'm like, okay, well, so is everybody.
So okay, we talked about how you talk about yourself mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So that you do though. You do.
We talked about how you're obsessed with yourself. So let's dive into that.
No, not like that. Like I'm talking about, like you like beat yourself up quite a bit.
Yeah.
In your comedy. How do you decide what you talk about in your life? Like some things have to be not
private.
Some things have to be private, right? Like your life isn't an open book to the world, but you do go kind of deep sometimes.
Yeah.
And how do you decide? Like, if it's super funny, you're like, I'm going to take this risk? Or do you just say, you know what, I'm okay with that? Because like, I think that certain things you don't want people to actually laugh at.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, man. I think I probably, if I'm like worried that it's kind of too personal.
Yeah.
Which I don't
You then said some shit that was personal.
Yeah, I mean, I get so personal that that doesn't happen very often, but I'll do it in front of a small crowd.
Yeah.
And if they laugh, then I'm like, all right, fine. I'll try it in like a little bit of a bigger crowd and like keep going until...
It's kind of like therapy though.
Yeah, unless like my dad is there and then I like pull back a little bit.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you know your parents are in a crowd or something, do you tone it down?
A little bit for my mom, a lot for my dad.
Wow.
But my mom's pretty cool. Like, she thinks a lot of stuff is funny.
Okay.
Like, so, and my dad thinks a lot of stuff is funny, but also it's like, I'm his daughter, you know, like some of that stuff he doesn't want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, but like my parents are pretty aware of like anything that I had go on in my life and probably did a lot of the same stuff. Like, there's been stuff I've opened up to my mom about when I'm like, oh, if you're coming to this show, I just want you to know I'm going to talk about this. And my mom's like, oh yeah, I did that when I was your age too. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't want to know that, but.
So I'm a huge fan of comedy. I'm just like making people laugh and hearing people laugh and being around people who make people laugh is just like, it's top tier.
Yeah, you're like always at shows in Indianapolis. We're so grateful for you.
I'm
seriously.
always at shows. Yes. But I say that to say, and this is just like my soapbox moment. I think that people like to laugh, and they laugh at everything that is funny to them. And then when somebody says something that isn't funny to them or hurts their feelings, they want to attack that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when cancel culture starts, right? Like that's like the beginning of cancel culture.
Yeah.
Somebody hurt somebody's feelings, and I don't want that person to be able to do that again. Now, I tell people all the time, if you can laugh at anything, then you should laugh at everything.
Right.
Right? Because if I'm laughing at a joke that you're telling about some dude who came here, he didn't have no shoes on, then you should be able to laugh about my big ass head. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you should be able to tell a joke about whatever. I don't give a fuck what it is. You tell a joke about a black dude, then I should be able to accept you telling a joke about a white dude, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so like when it comes to cancel culture, I think that comedy comedy fans are going too far, in my opinion. And I'm not a comic. I'm just a fan of comedy because I want to keep laughing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put a mask I don't want to silence anybody.
Yeah.
So how do you handle cancel culture? Like when you think about something, like, are you very calculated or you're just like, I'm just going to go ahead and say this?
I probably am sometimes a little too calculated.
Yeah.
I get nervous. Because, like, I'll have some stuff where I'm like, that would be fun. But I'm starting to get a little bit more, like, I'm going to say it. And, like, if you, like you said, like, if you like 90% of my jokes and then you're 1% in the crowd, I said one joke that pissed you off. Okay. Yeah. Like, sorry, I'm taking risk up here, you know? And that's, and you, in, like, any type of art, you know, music, like, they can put out 7 amazing albums. They put out one bad album and it's like, they lost it. They're down bad. Like they let whatever Illuminati take over or whatever. Like they, you know, like you can have one bad moment and everyone just remembers that. So, but I don't know. I'll take some risk.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you shouldn't be scared of it, but you should. The key is, I think that any joke you tell, if it's funny, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you get a lot of laughs, you can deal with whatever heat it comes. Like, you just have to be very smart at how you tell the joke.
Yeah.
Or whatever the joke is. If everybody laughs at it, nobody's going to care that it offended half the crowd because the crowd's laughing.
That's the part that sucks about the internet is like, you know, live, you hear half those people laugh and the other half that didn't. Well, they just don't say anything like that. And then they just leave and they're like, I don't like that. But on the internet, it's like people have the ability to be like, that's not funny, or like, that's not true, or I don't agree with that. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even put anything that is that controversial. So I can't imagine a comic that's putting out some really controversial stuff. Yeah. The comments that they probably get. Crazy. Of people being upset with them.
Crazy.
And I've even seen comics that do like political stuff and they'll be making fun of like maybe like right-wing conservatives, but then the right-wing conservatives won't realize it's a joke and they'll share the joke. Yeah, right. And like, I'm like, oh my God. I can't imagine.
They're talking about you.
Yeah.
You're just posting something that made you
My
look
dad
stupid.
reposted on his Facebook page. He's like, love this. I'm like,
Where do you want to go in comedy? Like, what do you want to do?
I mean, I love stand-up. And it's like how I got my roots in comedy. Yep. But I want to be a game show host. That's like my ultimate goal. Throw that out there.
Have you did the one here, the fake one? There's a place that is like a game show.
Oh, yeah.
I've never done it.
I haven't done it.
I haven't done it.
You know what? I applied for a job there.
Oh, did you?
They said they're fully staffed. I was like, okay.
I want to go there, though. It seems fun.
I was kind of just like going there to like kind of be nice to you guys, but whatever. I want to be a game show host. And then like, I do like sketch comedy. So something like that would be cool too.
You're going to New York. So you want to be on SNL.
I'd love to be on SNL, yeah. But that's
they have tryouts, don't they? All like
which it's nice. Some of the clubs that I'm going into, they're there a lot. Okay. But I mean, I've got so much.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but for if I'm being completely honest, like when it comes to TV, you have to have a look. And I think that you fit that already. You know what I mean? Like you have the SNL look and then you have to just be animated most of the time. I don't know how good of comic all those cast members are, but they all fit a certain look. So, I mean, that's just something like you can't get there unless you're out there.
Right.
So that's step one,
I just need like the brown-haired white girl on SNL, whichever one that is. There's probably like 3 of them. I need one of them to kick off.
Yeah, to blow
so
up.
So I can get on there because I need, they do. They have very specific demographics that they have.
Yeah.
Like I know a girl, she tried out for Wild 'N Out, and they already have a girl, Maddie, on there.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, like we kind of already have our awkward white girl. Sorry.
Like, I'm sorry when Maddie dies.
Yeah.
we'll love to have you. What do you do when you're not doing comedy? Because you seem like you just be doing it all the time with social media and stand up.
What do I? This is like one of those things. I'm like, do I have hobbies? I don't think I have any hobbies at all. I work.
Yep.
And then I look at TikToks.
How much time do you spend on your social media, either on it looking or creating?
A lot.
Yeah.
And I have a part-time job in social media as well.
Okay.
So like literally I'm constantly either like looking at it for myself, making content, making content for clients, researching stuff. Like I'm literally on it.
And you do a
way
podcast,
too much.
don't you?
Yeah.
Yep. And that's with another female, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know her.
Yeah.
Is she a comedian too?
She's not. Her and I met in cosmetology school, actually.
Oh.
And like, you know those people you meet like just day one, you're just like bouncing off of each other?
Yep.
That's how it was for her and I. Like immediately we were just like back and forth. Like we always say like, I don't think that we were supposed to meet because we're just so similar.
It seems like y'all been friends longer than that.
Oh, yeah. Like we just instantly clicked. Like we're like one and the same. So I love doing the podcast with her because it's just like, we just bounce back and forth.
Right.
Like we could talk for 3 hours and not get bored with it.
That's good.
And like we live together. We do everything together, and then we'll still go on a podcast and talk for an hour and then go home and talk for another. Like we just have that kind of like chemistry, which is awesome.
That's dope to have because it's hard to find people that want to do that podcast with, and then you have the content to do it, and then you still have a cool relationship afterwards.
Yeah.
That's very rare.
And just like that first step of like, because she's the one that she was like, we should do a podcast. And I was like, ugh. Like, I was like, I have a lot of other stuff that I would rather do than a podcast. But once we started doing it, it was great.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it now.
Yeah.
But when I used to hate podcasting when I first started. Yeah, because I'm like very strict in my like when I first started, I was like, okay, you have 5 minutes. You're gonna tell this joke. You're gonna tell this joke. You're gonna tell it like this. Oh, make sure that you say this sentence first, or it won't work right. So I was very calculated in the way that I said things, and it was scary for me to like do a podcast because then it's just, well, that's live. Whatever I just said just goes out into the world. But now, like, I care less.
It's hard to script something like this.
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah,
like I think the art is making the conversation move.
Yeah,
that's the art. Y'all do it good though. Y'all. I like the clips you put out.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good. I would like to meet her.
Well, at my show, maybe. I'm like, I can't speak for her. What if she was like, I don't want to meet that dude?
I know. I don't want to be BT on the first day either. Oh no, I don't. I just want to meet her, like, because I think she's cool. But I always ask everyone on this show how they would define success. So, how would you define success?
And in my mind, I guess growing up, like success for me was always like directly correlated to money.
Yep.
Like that's how I always saw it. And my parents grew up really poor, and like their parents grew up really poor. They didn't have money growing up.
Yep.
And my parents started a business when I was like 15, and we grew up like without much of anything.
Yep.
And I remember when they started that business, like things went downhill for a second because they just poured all this money into something. But then I remember the exact moment that like they became successful because we went to Puerto Rico and we had never been on vacation.
Celebration.
Like Man, like we went to Kentucky Kingdom every year for vacation. It was like this amusement park in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And like that was our summer vacation. And then that year I turned 16, we went to Puerto Rico and I was like, oh, we got success money. So that's how I've just always thought of success. And I know there was so much more to it.
Yep.
Like, they worked really hard and they, built businesses and like put a lot of work into it. But I guess because all I saw, because I was a teenager, was like, oh, we got money.
Right.
Like I was drinking virgin pina coladas by a pool. Like I was like, so.
Well, I mean, that's a great definition though.
But for myself, probably still money.
Yeah, as it should
like
be.
when I start making good money in comedy, I'll be like, I made it.
I'm telling you what, like, I mean, everybody's definition is different. And when it relates to yours, I mean, if you're making good money in comedy, that means you've done different things to get to that point. You know, like somebody might define your success differently, but you can't say that that's not success when you've reached that level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a dope definition.
I would choose like a career that like starts out making zero money and then also look as success as money. Like I'm really screwing myself there.
Well, you just set the bar high for yourself.
Yeah.
I would want to know, okay, when you're in Indianapolis, you're about to leave though, and you're going to New York, but what is your favorite restaurant in Indianapolis to go?
Oh, that's so hard. I love Garden Table for brunch.
Everybody loves Garden Table.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You got to get the fruit soup.
Yeah, everybody loves it.
And I'm trying to think of like a hole in the wall place.
I like Bluebeard.
Bluebeard is good. I want to say Petit Chew.
Petite Chew.
Mm-hmm.
I like Patachew.
They're the same thing.
Not
Petit
really.
Chew's just
Not
fancier
really.
and
They're
open
not.
for dinner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
it's like
Patachew is only breakfast, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I guess I never had Petite Chew at dinner then. I never.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's like French cuisine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never had it.
I'm trying to, like, honestly, I'm such a creature of habit and I don't go to like a lot of new places. I'll go like one time.
Yep.
But I go to like the Tap all the time just because I'm like, I know the place
Tap.
and like it's good. Like,
I never eat there.
really?
Nah, it's just too
It's like it's not anything special. That's what I mean. Like nothing I get there is ever like, whoa, that's the best meal I've ever had. But I'm always like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
I'm a consistency person where I'm like, it's going to be fine. I'm not. So.
All right. So what are you most excited about going to New York to do? Like moving to a new place and becoming new in a whole huger environment, more people.
Mm-hmm.
What are you most excited about?
I think just meeting people and getting involved with like a whole new scene.
And all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I go there now, I don't.
Do you know a lot of people now there?
Not really.
No.
I mean, I know enough people that are like established there.
Yeah.
That it's not as scary.
Yeah.
But no, like right now when I like go out there and I go to Mike's, I don't know anybody. And that's like,
dang.
I want to get popular out there. You know?
You will. You will. You will. What about my podcast made you want to come on now? What took so long?
I really do think it was just like I was leaving and I saw you on New Year's Eve and I was like really happy that night and I was like, for real, I want to I want to do it.
That's cool though. That's cool. I was just messing with you with that because we say literally every time we see each other, I'll be like, come on. You be like, all right. And I'm like, and I'm like, come on. You were like, okay.
Yeah, we like never. I think finally I messaged you. I was like, we're doing it.
You did.
Put a date on my calendar. We'll go.
You did. And I appreciate it. And I really appreciated your time and your candor and your honesty and openness.
Thank you.
It was really dope. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
really excited to see your growth and your success. And next time, hopefully, when you're on here, we'll be talking to an SNL cast member. I mean, you probably won't have time for me then.
No, I definitely will. And then, like, Indy's always gonna have like a sense of nostalgia and like, and you know what? I might be back in 3 months. That place might eat me alive. And I'm like, Stretch, you want to start a podcast together? You trying to like maybe?
We can do that too. We can do that. But I really appreciate you coming. What's your social media so people can follow you?
Sarah Pop-Tarts on everything.
Okay.
Sara Pop-Tarts.
Okay. Go to followdmoney.com. Check me out. We out. See you next time. Boom.
Do I have to do that?
Yeah, do it.
Boom.